We did it. I want to wish you all my heartfelt congratulations to each and every member of the grade OA. Now, it is with both honor and excitement that I welcome you all to the graduation of Radnor's class of 2008.
Good evening. My name is Cody Davis, and it has been my honor to serve as the treasurer of the class of 2008. I would like to introduce, with great pleasure, the Executive Director of Student Affairs. Please welcome Andy Ball.
Good evening. Good evening. I'd like to begin tonight by first recognizing all of the senior class officers. It has been a pleasure to work with all of you throughout our senior year, and without all of your hard work, this year would not have been so successful, so thank you. This past school year, I ambitiously, if not foolishly, took Miss Bouchard's AP Chemistry course. AP Chemistry is quite frankly out of my league. I am much more of a humanities guy, and this course proved that fact emphatically. However, this was not true for my lab partner and now friend, Walter Fu, who I believe is in the back playing the orchestra. Walter consistently put my grades to shame, despite being a junior in a mostly senior class. When tests were returned, I would sometimes find Walter brooding over what he believes to be a poor performance, usually an A-. So on one particular day, after receiving my typical lackluster grade, I attempted to console Walter by saying something along the lines of, well, hey, it could be worse, referencing my grade. To this he replied, yeah, but I'm not a senior. I could not argue, so I basked in my glory, perhaps rubbing his face in that fact. He then said something that surprised me. He said, how does it feel to know that the easiest part of your life is over? What? He then continued to say, I mean, look at all of the things you have to do. Now this is where I must disagree with my friend Walter. Look at all of the things you have to do. I refuse to look at our futures and see only tasks to accomplish, as if college or work, or whatever the coming years may bring, simply equates to orange juice on a grocery list. I have looked back on this seemingly insignificant conversation many times, and every time I've changed Walter's words to, look at all of the things we get to do. The world ahead of us, while no doubt intimidating, is full of opportunity. We can now truly take advantage of America's reputation as the land of opportunity. We have the tools and skills to do so because of where we come from. Despite faltering occasionally, we have succeeded from the 8th grade play to the field house to prom, and all of our endeavors, regardless of the outcome, although it's usually success, enable all of us to look at the world before us as ripe for the picking, not only in the future, but now. There is a poet and musician by the name of Saul Williams. He begins many of his live performances with a simple invitation. Feel free to feel free. This notion could not be more fitting. We are here today with the ability to feel more freedom than we have ever previously felt. And yes, there will still be parents, and teachers will be replaced by bosses. But we have the ability to feel free and use this freedom to accomplish all of those things that we get to do. We get to go to college. We get to begin making more and more personal decisions. We get to choose how our life's course will be run. And maybe, one day, we might just have to get some orange juice from the store. Congratulations, 2008. We made it.
the Radnor community for 35 years as a physical education teacher, guidance counselor, tennis coach, and of course, wrestling coach. Mr. Shoemaker is a graduate of Springfield High School, where the gym is named for his father. He and his father are also one of only 3 father-son combinations in the Pennsylvania Wrestling Hall of Fame. Skip is a graduate of Gettysburg College. He is renowned throughout the state for his Hall of Fame coaching career, but the boys of Radnor who have wrestled for him stay in touch throughout the years, and he is certainly a father figure to them. God is my age. That old. Skip is a #1 fan of the Radnor School District. He is not quite as fond of Conestoga. He is a bit of a Jimmy Buffett fan, just a little bit. But most importantly, Skip Shoemaker is a loving husband and father to his wife Barb, sons Rick and Scott, and daughter Casey. All of his children are proud Radnor graduates. One should not let the sometimes rough exterior fool them. This is a caring, compassionate man who will sorely be missed by this principal and everyone else associated with Radnor High School. Class of 2008, the great class of 2008, you have again done yourselves proud by selecting Richardson Skip Shoemaker as your speaker. I present to you Skip Shoemaker.
And thank you for all your support over the years. I'd like to start out with a story. I've been thinking of this story for about 4 weeks, so I hope I get it right. It's about a basketball coach who we'll call Mr. McVie, and a football coach we'll call Mr. R, sitting in the math office, discussing their players and their limited, I'll say, intellectual ability and how hard it is for them to follow what they're trying to teach. And they're arguing back and forth about that. Basketball coach says, "I'll prove my point." And he yells out, "Hey, Drew!" And Drew comes running over, stops the yellow line. Drew is kind of short for a basketball player, so there's a lot of space in the door frame. And says, "Yes, coach." Basketball coach says, "Here's $5, go buy me a car." Drew says, "Yes, sir," and he runs down the hall. Football coach says, "I can do better than that. Yo, Nick!" Nick runs in, stops at the yellow line, stands straight up. He's a little big, there's not a whole lot of room in the door frame. Says, "Yes, coach." Football coach says, "Nick, go down to my office to see if I'm there." Nick says, "Yes, sir." Runs down the hall. The two coaches go back and start arguing who won their argument. And the two athletes meet in the hall. And the basketball player says, "Yeah, my coach has finally lost it. He asked me to go buy him a car, but he didn't tell me what color to buy him." The football player says, "That's nothing. My coach sent me down to his office to see if he was there. There was a phone up there in the math office. He could have called down there to find out." Well, that story may be true in a lot of schools, but it is certainly not true at Radnor and with the class of 2008. The talent in this class is amazing. When the coaches got together to vote on scholar athletes, it was not an easy decision because there were so many good athletes who were also great scholars. The talent is amazing. The music productions, the theater productions, the amount of community service that you have done, the displays, the art displays in the main hall are just mind-boggling. And what about that senior musical last week? sitting here tonight are no small part of the reason that this class is as great as it is. I'm sure you've heard Bill Gates' rules. Rule number 1 says life is not fair, get used to it. Rule number 7 is about parents. And it goes, before you were born, your parents weren't as boring as they are now. They got that way from paying your bills, cleaning your clothes, listening to you talk about how cool you were, how cool you thought you were. I remember my freshman year in college. I couldn't understand it because every time I called home, no one answered the phone. My parents did not go out. I couldn't figure it out. It took me a couple of years to figure out why they never went out when I was in high school. And they are still making up for it by going out all the time. Class of 08, I think you need to give your parents a round of applause. You've also had many teachers. Some of them are your favorites, some of them may not be. I will make a prediction that years from now, those favorite teachers in your mind will change. And you'll come to the realization that the ones that were the most demanding of you, that worked you the hardest, made you what you are today and what you will become. And I would like you to come back when you make that realization and thank those teachers. There are a couple of things I'd like you to keep in mind as you move on to the next stage of your life and practice on an everyday basis. One is when you pass somebody in the hall, on the street, on campus, make eye contact and say hi. It'll make the world a better place, and you never know what that will mean to that other person. Number 2, find your passion and go for it. Work is a lot more fun if you like what you're doing. So find it, go for it, and enjoy it. Number 3, when you're making decisions, do what is right. Not what your friends are doing, not what is easy, but do what is the right thing to do. And number 4, find a job where you can wear a Hawaiian shirt every Friday. Speaking of Fridays, you have gotten to hear some great music every Friday morning for the past month. Ian, that was a little gesture that meant a lot. Thank you. One Jimmy Buffett song, that you did not hear, he wrote for the music for the movie Hoop, which is more of a middle school movie. The song is titled Good Guys Win. The song is, that song title itself, I love it. But it's a line in the song that I find very appropriate tonight. The line says, full-grown men get to learn from a child every day. You are not children, except maybe in your parents' eyes. But I have learned more from you than you will ever know. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Friends, family, and the faculty of Radnor High School, welcome, and thank you for joining us this evening to celebrate the accomplishments and ambitions of the class of 2008. I have had the privilege of spending the last 4 years with an incredible group of peers that on a daily basis shows itself ready to tackle personal, local, and global challenges head-on. It seems fitting then that we transition from our lives at Radnor High School in a year in which we can also commemorate the 40-year legacy of 1968, the climax of the 1960s, and the year that rocked America. With the introduction of the simple phrase, "The times they are a-changin'," musician Bob Dylan authored a slogan for the 1960s and sent ripples through a generation of young Americans. It is indisputable that in the year 2008, we continue to draft off of the energy of political luminaries Robert F. Kennedy and John F. Kennedy, of civil rights champions Martin Luther King Jr. and John Lewis, and cultural revolutionaries like the Beatles, Jefferson Airplane, and Dylan himself. But in the context of our times, we must understand the legacy of the 1960s and 1968 in particular as both a curse and a blessing. The legacy is simply a curse if we look to the debilitating political gridlock that exists today in Washington, D.C. But the legacy is also a blessing in the sense that women and minorities have been granted the rights that they deserve, and we can discuss what was previously taboo in an open dialogue. But perhaps more than anything, the legacy of the 1960s in the year 2008 may best be described as an open-ended opportunity to break down more societal barriers and to confront the most pressing issues of our time. So where do we, the Radnor High School class of 2008, fit into this legacy? The lessons from Radnor High School that I hope so many of us will retain for years to come are not so different from the gifts of the 1960s. Our teachers and administrators have always encouraged us to seek new challenges, emphasize for us the importance of questioning and discourse, and equip us with the tools to write the next chapter in our nation's history. It's not like anyone has told us what we can or cannot do. Instead, we have grown up with the unmistakable privilege of knowing that there are few limits to our opportunities to mend our society and the world for future generations. A glance at the newspaper today makes it seem easy, and maybe even reasonable, to develop an attitude of cynicism about American domestic politics, the war in Iraq, or rampant corruption in Zimbabwe, Myanmar, and Sudan. But we can and will change all of this. Regardless of which path you choose in the next few years, it's important to consider the context of your upbringing and coming of age in order to appreciate just how much power we hold. I hope that years from now, when a future generation of Americans reflects on our achievements and ambitions, that generation examines the class of 2008 and its times as a continued effort to advocate for the principles that Robert F. Kennedy devoted himself to in his times: courage, compassion, justice, and dissent. Senator Hillary Clinton's recent visit to Radnor High School proved to me that we've already taken the initial steps to asserting the force and will of our generation. When a group of Radnor students made the bold decision to wear some official Obama campaign gear to Senator Clinton's town hall meeting, a flurry of angry text messages and Facebook posts erupted in cyberspace. The dialogue that followed was heartening because it pointed to a generation brimming with controversy and excitement. I hope that as we each define our next journey, we will take a stand and question something, anything. I urge everyone to register to vote, to read the newspaper or watch the news, and to rally behind a cause. This much has already become apparent. We have a voice, and we want to make it heard. In the next few years, we will encounter new and different challenges. We must approach these challenges with a poise, power, and passion that our friends and teachers at Radnor have instilled in us. I would therefore like to leave you with the following. We are the generation that can extinguish hatred and intolerance in all corners of the globe. We are the generation that can transfer the collective force of our energies to eradicate poverty and to bridge educational disparities. We are the generation that can turn out to vote in record numbers and work against the stereotype that all youth are apolitical. We have the power to work, to sweat, to struggle, to argue, to fight, to reconcile, and to succeed. We are the Radnor High School class of 2008, and we must always remember that we are unified by a common thread. As an American Indian proverb so beautifully states, no matter how far a river wanders, it never forgets its source. Thank you.
First of all, thank you. Thank you to our families who have supported us for the past 18 years. Thank you to our teachers and administrators
challenged us to be better individuals. And thank you to our friends, with whom we have laughed and cried, and most of all, with whom we have grown. New research has suggested that exposing young children to allergens like pet hair and dust may in fact reduce the amount of allergies that these kids will experience as adults. Activities like playing in the dirt actually help the immune system to differentiate between harmless molds and dangerous pathogens. Historically, though, doctors and parents recommended protecting kids from anything that might cause allergies. It turns out that this overprotective behavior prevents children from developing tolerance to the allergenic substances. So often in our lives, we like to create a neat and tidy, hypoallergenic environment where nothing conforms. We create a setting which is both stagnant and comfortable in the name of safety, but forget about something more important: growth. Our time at Radnor was seldom stagnant and occasionally uncomfortable. In our 4 years at Radnor High School alone, 3 different individuals have held the position of principal. Each of these individuals has dealt with the challenges associated with leading a school in an America where Columbine is no longer a type of flower, but instead a high school massacre. But because we have dealt with many changes, both at Radnor and throughout our lives, we have had many opportunities to grow. Our class has personally witnessed some of the unbelievable changes to everyday life that have occurred over the past 18 years. As the class of 2008 began the 2nd grade, a young American company adopted the slogan, "Think Different." 10 years later, Apple users can surf the web, get directions, and make phone calls, all with a gadget about the size of a deck of cards. We have watched our immense VHS collections slim down to DVDs, and we have seen payphones die off as cell phones were born. With the advent of the internet, the definitions of words like Google, Amazon, and Facebook have been changed forever. Even with incredible progress over the past 2 decades, our advances have not ended the challenges we continue to face. None of us will ever forget when in September of the 6th grade, we heard Mr. Laffey's voice over the loudspeaker, informing us that terrorists had attacked the World Trade Center. We have watched as the American people have faced great hatred and intolerance with even greater resilience and bravery. But despite America's virtues while facing adversity, we have also watched our nation polarize amidst frequent controversy, listening as phrases like global warming, stem cell research, and the war on terror have come into the public's attention. Too often today, we see reds and blues instead of seeing Americans. This year we've experienced a historical and heated contest of 2 Democratic senators, each continuing to break political barriers in their own right. In November, for the first time, the majority of this senior class will have the opportunity to vote in the United States presidential election, to voice our opinion about which direction our country should move in the next 4 years. We're growing up. Many of us are leaving Radnor next year, moving on to the next stages in our lives. I'm both excited and terrified by the thought of something new, the thought of a life besides high school. I know we'll experience difficulties, but facing these difficulties will define us, shaping our character and helping us to grow stronger. When we face challenges, we'll approach them with the same passion we brought to the athletic field, with the same creativity we brought to every performance, with the same curiosity we brought to the classroom, and with the same enthusiasm we brought to Radnor High School. Be proud of who you are. Ask the tough questions. Speak up when no one else will. Let your hopes for the future sing louder than your fears from the past. And while moving on, always remember to grow. But don't grow up too quickly. Wherever you are, whomever you're with, and whatever you're doing, don't get afraid to play in the dirt. Class of 2008, congratulations.
Thank you very much. You will always be the great 08. Time is here. Dr. McAdams, Deacon, for the purpose of awarding diplomas, I present you the Radnor High School class of 2008.
Matthew Adrian Tenero.
Diane Elise Pizarro.
Jacqueline Nielsen Riley.
Cody Michael Davis.
Jeffrey Allen Astron.
Pedro Jose Alfonso Diaz.
Ariel Ashley Antonucci.
Leanna Ambrosio.
Brandon Adrian Banky.
Andrew John Ball.
Brooke Caitlin Baranzano.
Megan Elizabeth Bachman.
Jacob Kenneth Bayshore.
Walter Palmer Barrows VI.
Kelly Jane Barnes.
Liza Saronic Barnes.
Brooks Kenneth Benz.
Riley William Faber.
Tara Crystal Blanco.
Jennifer Nicole Bernardini.
Kelly Jr. Lackman.
Alexander Daniel Bjornson.
Christina Nicole Labia.
Erica Lee Black.
Joaquin Campbell.
Miles Forrest Britton.
Philippa Palmer Bradbury.
Zoe Robin Bode.
Peter Lennon Kaufman.
Franklin Noah Cantor.
Alexandra O'Connor Brindle.
Tina Maria Brady. David Cho.
Anna Louise Carrigan.
Jamie Helene Canelia.
Thomas James Clement.
Benjamin Alexander Fuentes.
Ray Brogan Casey. Lee Connors.
Casey Lynn Connors.
Joseph Devlin Condon.
John Robert Donnelly.
Caroline Maria Crowley.
Meredith Mackenzie Cox.
John David Lozandro.
Mark Stephen Duchesne.
Allison Renee Davey.
Jamie Geraldine Canilio.
Eric William Fisher.
Nicholas Herrera Finger.
Kellyanne Virginia Devine.
Jessica Elizabeth Wood.
Garrett Benjamin Fitzgerald.
Thomas Richard Fisher.
Amelia Margaret Doherty.
Brenda Sue DiGnazio.
Charles Baxter Gibson.
Michael Edward Foy.
Molly Burke Earl.
Hillary Elizabeth DeCoupney.
George Thomas Greendyke.
Nicholas John Giuliano.
Jill Heather Edmond.
Ellen Edelman.
Sean Patrick Grimes.
Francesco Grimaldi.
Beth Page Ellis.
Lynn Kawachalani.
David Joseph Hardman.
Stanley Zhang.
Emily Elizabeth Phoenix.
Jessica Lee Engelberg.
James Bernard Hemwall.
James Anthony Harper.
Allison Rebecca Feinberg.
Nicole Danielle Purkis.
Michael McLaughlin Hobson.
William Joseph Hicks.
Nicole Elizabeth Ferraro.
Emily Allen Ford.
Evan Ross Kaufman.
Will Meehan Kaufman.
Arden Ray Formica.
Michelle Christine Ford.
Jordan Kent Kingston.
Michael Boomshin Kim.
Madeline Dale Friedman.
Caroline Rizzo Fox. Scott Obiak.
Haley Marie Bell.
Christina Lynn Gerling.
Gregory Robert Lennon.
Ryan Adams Kraus.
Christina Gray.
Lindsay Michelle Goldberg.
Joseph Lee.
Daniel Quan Lee.
Sarah Rose Haley.
Taylor Elizabeth Gant.
Samuel Arthur Leask.
Kang In Lee.
Tara Cody Harlan.
Emily Hanhauser.
Jonathan Michael Mahady.
Max Samuel Luskin.
Mira Henry.
Cassie Marie Parkman.
Thomas Marchesani.
Spencer Witry.
Rebecca Rachel Hicks.
Samantha Lauren Herbert.
Ethan Trickwick Maine.
Timothy Mann Mattioli.
Tiffany Kingley.
Elizabeth Lynn Gilberts.
Brendan McAllister.
Stephen William Mazanik.
Morgan Dario Holt.
Allison Brooke Hoffman.
George Anthony McKinley.
Andrew Wilfred McDonald.
Sierra Nasara Jasami.
Allison Laura Horner.
Kyle Miller.
Patrick Carl McNally.
Michelle Michu Kim.
Brianna Patrice Kane.
Andy Hewitt Monahan.
Andrew Shea Mahori.
Adam Stephen Craver.
Jesse Ray Linghop.
Vignesh Cynthia Nathan.
Garth Roger Nadu.
Helen Gamble Kunza.
Victoria Sue Crevens.
William E. Pancoast.
John Xiaojing Ni.
Keel
Lundstrom.
Justin Stephen Radke.
Thomas Charles Puckett.
Claire Gerlach Colby.
Holly Elizabeth McBain.
Sanjeev Sharon Zeta. Ready.
Raheel Rather.
Emily Marie Maddox.
Elizabeth Memorial.
John Eric Rensel.
Peter Israel Reed.
Asha Ray Zakia Morton.
Elizabeth Genevieve Mansfield.
Kyle Richard Roberts.
Matthew John Riedel.
Kelsey Maxwell Morton.
Gabrielle Marco.
Alexander Corson Ryder.
Andrew Lawrence Rufo.
Anna Ryan McCormick.
Petra Camille McAllister.
Rob Christopher Sagar.
Louis Sanek.
Caitlin Michelle Melvin.
Tanisha McDowell.
Sam Adam Schnall.
Carl Matthew Schmidt.
Shelby Brooke Meadow.
Giannina Elisa Mendenhall.
Cole Daniel Siebel.
Thomas Casey Zielinski.
Julie McEntee Miller.
Gabrielle Kayla Miller.
Peter Shaw.
Elliot Sheldon Server-Lott.
Mary Catherine Nagel.
Emma Elizabeth Montgomery.
Taylor Scott Sims.
Daniel Jacob Sieber.
Christine Laura Neal.
Shova Ryanen.
Natalia Elena Pelaez.
Rosalind May Patterson.
Evan Brian Taylor.
Thomas Michael Surgeon.
Melissa Lynn Powell.
Nicole Lee Billing.
Ryan Russell Torrey.
Dennis Joseph Tolan.
Rachel Christine Pritchard.
Chelsea Brown Beeman.
Nathan Scott Weinberg.
Sunil Kumar Radhati.
Catherine Elizabeth Poulos.
Laura Summerlin Privet.
Corey Fortune Wilson.
Christian Bennett Weiss.
Whitney
officially Radnor alumni, but it's stranger that the people who surround you right now, the people who have surrounded you for at least 4 years, are all going to be taking separate paths. No matter what path you have chosen to take, I wish you the best of health, safety, and happiness as you begin a new chapter in your life. Best of luck and congratulations to the class of 2008.
When you dream big, as big as the ocean blue. 'Cause when you dream it might come true. But when you dream big. And when you laugh, be sure to laugh out loud, 'cause it will carry all your cares away. And when you see the beauty all around and in yourself, and it will help you feel okay. And when you pray and pray for strength to help you carry on, and when the troubles come your way. And when you dream big, as big as the ocean blue. When you dream it might come true. When you dream big. Dream big. Dream big.
We've got outcasts, we've got rebels, mostly saints, sometimes devils. You see them walking up and down the hall, and they struggle with their boyfriends, their girlfriends, and their math. And they long for the bell that gets them out of class. In my high school, we laugh, we cry, we fall, we fly, and sometimes we wonder why we're even here. We pass, we fail, and only time will tell if we'll ever make it through these teenage years. In my high school, there's some who study for their entrance exams, some who just want to play guitar in some rock and roll band. And in my high school, the seniors just cannot wait for June, but they don't realize that we grow up way too soon. There'll be doctors, there'll be lawyers, teachers and warriors, and they'll live out their dreams, big and small. And they'll struggle with their jobs, their husbands and their wives, and they'll talk about the best days of their lives. In my high school, in my high school, in my high school, in my high school.
Tomorrow like we think about now. Can we survive it out there? Can we make it somehow? I guess I thought that this would never end, and suddenly it's like the women and men. Will the past be a shadow that will follow us round?